Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to $3 Theater. Right now, I am hyped on energy drink and my love of Star Wars. I cannot tell you how I feel right now because my body is still vibrating like the Mando's vibroblade that we saw in full-on action in the opening of this episode. I can't believe it. Andre.
Either way, I don't care.
Yeah, F it, dude. F it. Fuck it.
F it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. So Mandalorian season 2. This is I still am trying to wrap my head around how awesome that was, man. That was so
incredible.
Good.
It was absolutely incredible, and the stories that we got within the one episode. I'm telling you, that episode alone was better than what we got in the sequel trilogy. So far, this is the main storyline. This is the most compelling storyline in Star Wars to this day. I mean, I'm talking about like the stuff that's come out after the sequel, or the original and the prequel trilogy. This is the main storyline. And the fact, yes, Jack, the fact that we got to see not only Boba Fett's armor, but then we got a glimpse of him as well. That was incredible.
Yeah. That was that. So spoilers, by the way. There's gonna be tons of spoilers here. Just got to make sure that's abundantly clear. But yes, Jack, Boba Fett is back, and I talked about that today. I don't know if you saw that I've been trying to do a Star Wars news podcast because I'm just screw it, I want to talk about Star Wars, and I found out on Twitter that Disney or Lucasfilm had refiled the trademark for Boba Fett. And they did this a couple days ago, about a week ago, actually. And they did it for like notebooks and clipboards and more or less just merchandise.
Right.
And I'm like, he's back. He's totally back.
He's totally back.
You can't sit there and go, wow, yeah, we're just going to bring back Boba Fett merch and not have Boba Fett in the show.
Yeah. Well, no, and the thing is too, is that, some people were saying, oh, maybe it's Rex or another clone. It's no way. It has to be Boba Fett. And the reason why he was there is because he's trying to get his armor back because that's his armor. I mean, essentially he is the original. Obviously Jango Fett was the original, but he's the closest thing to it because, he was raised by Jango Fett. From being, as a child. So,
yeah. And the thing is, it's Tamara Morrison.
Yes,
it's not
exactly.
It's not anyone else.
It's not some dude who's supposed to be that guy.
Do you not understand from a Star Wars fan perspective, just how mind blowing that is? This episode is packed with a whole bunch of Easter eggs, a whole bunch of little things here and there. But just the fact that we had heard that Tamara Morrison was coming back. There was that report.
Oh yeah.
Some people speculated as Boba Fett. I thought he would be doing both. He'll play Rex and he'll play Boba Fett, and I still think that's going to happen, and I still think they're going to meet.
Yeah, he has to.
And I say that because Hot Toys put out a new Commander Rex figure that was Tamara Morrison's likeness, and that was coming in off of the Siege of Mandalore arc from the final season of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So they did. I'm like, come on, you're gonna have the Hot Toys, collectible that has Tamara Morrison's face. We know he's coming back into the show. He's good. I'm so fucking jazzed, dude.
Dude, it was so badass.
Oh my god, it was so good.
The fact that we got to see Mando even talk to the Tusken Raiders in their language, but still. It was just another aspect of the story of the Star Wars universe that we haven't seen before. We've never seen anyone be able to do this kind of thing with the Tusken Raiders the way he has.
Well, because it's like I said in my review of it, he humanized them is what he did.
Yes, he did.
He humanized them is what he did. Because we'd only known about them as being these savage creatures from A New Hope and then from Attack of the Clones. Otherwise, we'd gotten really nothing about them. But last year, when they had episode 5, and I do quickly want to point out that this episode kind of redeemed episode 5 in my eyes, right? Because This is more, well, think about it. The Gunslinger out of all 8 episodes was kind of the lowest ranked episode. It felt weird to a lot of people. It felt like it was too much of a callback it was too much, Yeah. And then this one is because that was Filoni directing it. That was Filoni doing his second episode of the season. And then this time Favreau comes in and just goes okay, we're going to take that episode and we're going to build upon it. Mm-hmm. And that to me then kind of redeemed that episode. Not to say that it's all of a sudden instantly better. It's not. But the core, I'm going to look at that episode now and I'm going to know what's going to come. And I'm going to be able to then go, okay, Like I could just probably go from episode 5 to episode 9 and like not even, I mean, I won't even do that. I'll watch the whole thing again. It's so goddamn good. But Boba Bricks here says kind of disappointed. Just felt like the whole episode was kind of irrelevant to the overall narrative. No, it's establishing the narrative. It's setting up
it's
the
exactly
narrative.
what it was doing. It was establishing it. And I mean, look, the fact that it was a story that the story itself was self-contained on that planet, within that that little town, and with the Sand People. But the thing is that it established so much more. And the fact that we know that Boba Fett is out there, we know that he's going to be following him around because I think he wants his armor back. Because I mean that's his. He's like, he goes, there it is. I'm going after him. And we know now that he was a character at the end of the Gunslinger who showed up at the very end to pick up the girl.
Now we know. Yeah. Now, so then the question becomes: is Fennec Shang still alive?
Oh, she has to be still alive.
I think so. I think she's still alive. Yeah. Well, because did you notice in the episode, like they really played up the sound effect of the spurs? Did you catch that at all?
Yes.
So so I just got these new headphones. I got the Bose noise cancel, like the Quiet Comfort. Like this is like a $400 Amazon Prime Day. Okay. And I bought it and I totally was like just watching it with these amazing headphones. Like it was, the sound was so good.
Yeah.
Coming in. I was so like just in the episode, but yeah, I know like I could hear the spurs really well.
Yeah. I know.
I could hear like, I'm like, they're really playing it up this time.
I have the Beats
okay, yeah.
And so like you can hear the spurs as he was walking in, and that was the first tell. I was like, wait a minute, I heard spurs. And then we actually, after the episode was over, we went back and we watched the end of the Gunslinger, and we saw that scene again, and you can hear the spurs, and you knew right there, okay, yeah, that's him, and they were on Tatooine.
Yeah. So I mean, like that's the thing. So for the past like 30 years. Not 30 years, the last 5 years, I think, right? Sorry, my phone's gonna fucking mess with the microphone.
I was like, what is that?
Yeah, it's damn cell phone technology. It's one of those things where in the last like couple years, it was 5 years, he's been trapped on the planet. So he's clearly been out marauding. I'll need to go and like take a look again at the outfit that he's wearing, but he's all scarred up. Did you notice that? Like he's bald, he's scarred up.
Oh yeah, he's hell scarred up.
So he's just all sorts of crazy right now. But yeah, so I don't want to overlook the opening of the episode because I did see here that Resident Juice said I had no clue that it was John Leguizamo. I thought that it was Michael Biehn, and John Leguizamo was the Cyclops.
Oh, so, you know what? And it makes sense too because now looking back on that scene, his voice was totally John Leguizamo's voice.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna go back and watch it again because what I thought was crazy was like going into the episode, I wasn't too sure what to expect, to be honest with you. I just really wasn't, because I mean, there's been like nothing. We've heard nothing coming out of any proper channels, and then so I'm like, oh, we're starting off right with the fight with the Grimorian. Is that who they are? The Grimorians.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So so I'm like, oh, cool.
Pig people, warhawk people.
Yeah, the pig people, right? So we're starting off with that, and it's like, okay, cool. And they're going right in, but he's trying to find a Mandalorian, and he's just running on like, oh, I heard, that you would know where they are because they're all gone, right? We don't know where the ones are from the end of the first season. So that collective, that hive, whatever you want to call it. He's now also probably trying to find them because that's like his point, like we need to know more about who fought in this war between the evil sorcerers known as the Jedi and the Mandalorians, like who would have that information. So I love that he's trying to get this info. And then that guy is all like, I love how Leguizamo played that character, because when he's all, I bet your armor versus my information that Grimorian's going to die in the next 2 minutes. I don't like, he's like, I don't like to bet on chance. And like, neither do I. And he pulls out the gun and he shoots him. It's like, oh shit.
And then they all stand up. I was like, oh, here we go.
Oh, it's on, man.
But see, I was getting worried at one point because I was like, wait a minute. I saw all these scenes in the trailer. So I hope I didn't see all of it. But no, you didn't. You saw a whole bunch of new scenes that you hadn't seen before. And
that's the thing too. I felt kind of like, okay, I've seen this. I've watched a bunch. Yeah. Like I've watched the trailers a bunch. And then even the scene, like, but I love it though, the guy's running away. Because even like when he kills the Dathomirian, whatever the hell they're called. I'm tired, so I don't have all the information. But like he kills him with the vibroblade, Mm-hmm. And what I love about that was he killed the two guys with it and then chased down the boss and then strung them up, right? And then just, I love that whole exchange about how he just shoots out the light and like just lets those creatures eat that dude.
Yeah, they're like,
because that was some nice like aesthetic. That was a nice little like, oh, okay, because there's been creatures in Star Wars Rebels. There's an episode in, I think it's season 1, where Hera and Sabine go to like an old rebellion outpost, right? And there's all these creatures there that have to hide away from the sun, but when it gets dark, they come out. Think Pitch Black, So it's kind of like Pitch Black, and that's a lot of what I was thinking about this. And it was cool that they just had the red eyes, and you just see the shadow outform of them. It's not even like a full-on creature. It's just you just get to see the silhouette. That's what I want to say. The silhouette was really cool because it was creepy. It was like super creepy in the opening of that. I thought that was a really nice way of just kind of setting it up. Because we don't know where they are. We don't know where they were going.
No,
it was
we don't.
It was a cool cold open, I think. And then what I loved after that is when he flies back to Mos Eisley and he goes back to Amy Sedaris's port. And then she's like, oh, you're back. Oh, and then she sees the baby. She's like, the baby, and just like, oh, I've been, so worried about you. Because you could just like, for some reason, to me, that really, it worked really well. Like it just felt like you could feel like that motherly love, kind of like, how much you want for him. Oh, I'm kidding. I mean, I'm not really, but no, I'm kidding.
Yeah. And then the little pit droids are like, they're all making a mess. But no, it was there were so many things that were so well done in that episode, and it just felt. It just feels like a more complete story that's happening in front of you as opposed to what we saw in the sequel trilogy. I'm so happy with the way that they've delivered this series to us. I hope they continue to do so because so far it's been so good.
It's one of those things where when you have like the last movie, Rise of Skywalker had a lot of problems and there's no way to get around that. It did.
Yeah.
And then it came out. I think it came out and there was one more episode of Mandalorian left or something after it came out. And so then there was nothing like outside of the Clone Wars, which was excellent. But there was nothing live action wise until now. And so we've just kind of been sitting and just kind of been waiting and waiting and waiting. And I think the Rise of Skywalker kind of left a sour taste in some people's mouths. I really do.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And I mean,
it just, and I was talking about this earlier on my show is that I recently watched all the movies again because my nephew had come over a few weeks ago and he said, hey, let's watch all the Star Wars movies that, we'll watch one a night. He was here for like 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's fine. So we watch these movies and sometimes we watch 2 of them, depending on when we started, but starting with the original trilogy and then the prequel trilogy. And then when we got to the sequel trilogy, I mean, you saw just such a shift in the storytelling. I mean, I still think The Force Awakens is the best one out of all 3 of them.
Yeah.
But by the time we got to The Last Jedi, then we got actually I'd say by the time we got to The Rise of Skywalker, it was just it was hard to watch because it was just so all over the place. It was just a matter of like, hey, let's just throw a lot of action at you, blah blah blah. Who cares? These stories don't need to make all that much sense. So it just, I don't know.
I think
they were trying to cram way too much into one film, and that was to me the biggest problem is that they tried to fit too much.
Well, and now what they're doing, if you've noticed with this, they're taking like their own canon and they're now expanding upon it, right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of what happens when he went out to Tomas Pelagos, whatever it was called.
Yeah,
because
he
meets Cobb Vanth, and Cobb Vanth is from the Aftermath trilogy. And that was like the Aftermath was like the first book released under the new publishing that Disney had done. This whole, when they took the EU and they made it Legends or non-canon, this was one of the first things. And so that was a character that people liked, but and the thing is, his overall story was very similar to what we got.
It was short though.
Well, this was short. Still 52 minutes. 50,
no. But I'm saying like his story in the Aftermath, it was short. It wasn't like a long.
Yeah.
Piece
well, what I mean by that is
story.
they expanded upon it here, giving us like giving us a full arc for the character, which I really enjoyed. Even though I did feel,
but it's also a reward for the fans too, who read those books. And it's like, hey, guess what? Now you're going to see that character on the show and his story somewhat expanded upon. Which was cool. It was rewarding to the fans as well, which is the way it should be done. in my opinion. But
well, they did, and then they did alter a few things. They did alter a few things from the book to the show. You know, like certain, like it was he ran a town called Freetown, and it wasn't like, you know, Mos Pelagos, whatever. And then it was like, you know, but the idea of working with the Sand People to stop the crate dragon, that was clearly something that was like the key part of it. But what I enjoyed was like when he got to the city and there's Weequay that was there from like Return of the Jedi. And so that was the bartender, if you remember that. And so like, because I didn't know that, I'm like, that guy looks really familiar, like he's from Return of the Jedi. And someone's like, oh yeah, it's Weequay. I'm like, oh yeah, shit. And then they even say his name in the episode, like, you know, just again to let you know. But what was awesome about that was like, again, it's kind of tying into you know, what the aftermath of Jabba, right? The aftermath of Jabba's palace, that was only a couple years prior, but still, like, this is like, this guy survived that. If I recall, it's been so long, I'm pretty sure that's where it happened. No one has corrected me on that front yet, but because people are going to correct me, trust me.
Just wait.
This is Star Wars. You get one thing wrong, you're a monster.
Wrong.
You're a total monster.
You're on the outs.
Yeah, you're just you bastard. But what I love though about that was when like, you know, Cobb Vanth comes in and he's wearing the armor, but the armor isn't complete. It's not a complete set.
It's not complete now.
So it's like, okay, cool. So there's other else. I'm like, oh, if you notice, he doesn't have the pants. He doesn't have the boots.
Didn't have the boots.
And that would be what Boba Fett would have had at the end of the episode when we see him, or at least from episode 5 of season 1. So that was pretty cool. But what I loved was like when it showed him in his story, when he goes back to the town and he basically plays the same character he played in Justified.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And I love Justified. So I was like, oh, dude, bring it on, man. Bring in some Walter Goggins, like have them just fight it out, you know? I'd be totally down with that. But I really enjoyed that he played that character because Oliphant does that kind of stuff really, really, really well. And he has this very natural approach to it. Plus, there was good chemistry between him and Mando.
Yes,
you know?
there was.
And it's like, and I really do hope, I don't know if they will, but I really hope they find a way to kind of bring him back into the fold.
I think they will because based on last season, every character that had any kind of impact usually made an appearance later on in the season. Yeah. So I think that they will. What's up, Rasha? But there was. I liked how the armor was very weathered and used, and and I think in Aftermath there was like a gunfight or that happened as well, because it had more damage than we saw, you know, than we last seen it. Obviously, it was in a Sarlacc pit, so I'm not like it was in good condition to begin with, but it still held up. I mean, when he got shot in the chest, it was like, you know, I was like, well, right, but
see that, but that's my question with that too, is like, how did it get out of the Sarlacc pit? Right. How did he get? I mean, I am sure that when we get the full on Boba Fett episode, because you know it's going to happen.
Oh, it's going to happen.
Right?
It's
they're going to give us this whole like, you know, there I was trapped in a Sarlacc pit's belly. You know, something along those lines. They're just going to have him do it.
You don't know death.
Yeah,
I know death. Like,
you know, it's going to be like when I saw my father beheaded by the Jedi, or something like, you know. I have a feeling there's going to be some contention in that point, and I just can't wait. But but I really enjoyed, you know, like the setup to it, because it started feeling like when they're out there and the crate dragon goes through the town and underneath, I'm all like, are we like, is this Star Wars and fucking Dune meets Tremors? Like, what the hell's going on here? Right? I'm like, that seems at first I'm not gonna. Yeah, like at first I thought it was kind of dumb. Where's Bert? I was like, where's Bert?
And why was it? It was just going through the street. You know what I mean? Like it was just like knocking over houses or whatever. No, it was like staying in the lane. Like, oh, excuse me.
Yeah, it knows its role. It knows what it needs.
The road is here, not anywhere else. Even though I go underground, but still. And then, you know, poor Banthas, man, they were just getting slaughtered.
Well, I mean, they had a bad run this episode. If PETA watches this episode, they're not going to be very happy with the band. There's going to be a very pro Bantha tweet tomorrow.
And then that poor guy, that poor Tusken Raider, he brings the Bantha over there. He's like, ha, 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 ha. He's like, oh, shit. Just running, and it eats him and not the Bantha. Like,
I thought that was great.
They're like, they were just like, oh, that sucks.
Well, because what was excellent
there goes
about
Steve.
That? Yeah. There goes Bob. He
Yeah.
was a smoker. What I loved about that too was when when Mando got on the speeder bike and he took off out towards there, and it took him a couple of days. It wasn't like, that's one of the things with the sequel trilogy is that space travel happens instantaneously. Have you noticed that? Like it doesn't take time. This took time. They showed a passage of time, which I enjoyed. And then he meets up with
camp out.
He's got to camp out. There's a Wampa rat right there, or a Wampa rat that they were eating. That's what they had shot and killed. That was roasting over the fire that Baby Yoda was eyeing.
That's true.
And so that was pretty cool. And then you had, just like the communication, like them using sign language, like, oh, that's because that was something that those were deaf actors that were playing the Tusken Raiders in season 1. They were using actual sign language. So that was actually part of the whole representation and inclusion, which I thought was actually really well done.
Yeah.
Because it humanized them. It really did. And so I really enjoyed that. And then they had that whole, thing going out there and like giving them like that, that weird, whatever it was, like that pumpkin that had some drink in it. Yeah. Like, well,
really get them high. Like,
I'm like, is this like peyote? Is this your peyote? What the hell is happening? And so I thought that was pretty good that they had that. And of course there's like, I'm not eating this, stuff. And then the bickering between the people. And it was, again, they played up almost every single Western trope that they could think of in this episode.
But that's really what it is, though. I mean, this is basically a Western set in Star Wars. It is what this show really is.
Yeah, it's a space opera.
Yeah.
And that's generally a lot, or space Western in many cases. I mean, but it's so it's good that they kind of played up those themes quite a bit. Never mind, the music very much amplifies that, and it's still so good to hear that again.
Mm-hmm.
I love the music. I love the soundtrack. But what was cool was, so when they go, again, back to the whole thing of taking the bantha to the crate dragon's den, and that he's sleeping in an empty Sarlacc pit. And then I just love that. I've never thought like this, how would you get into a Sarlacc pit? And it's like, oh, you eat the Sarlacc, and oh shit. Yeah.
So
okay.
it ate the Sarlacc. And so you're like, oh shit. And also the Sarlacc pit, it was, how do you say? It wasn't like a vertical pit. It was, it was horizontal.
Yeah. Well,
so you could like run into it.
Yeah. Like that's the thing. So I'm like, okay, so now I'm kind of interested in knowing the anatomy of a Sarlacc. Cause at first I thought, I'm like, okay, is this thing a Sarlacc?
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, because like, okay, does it travel around and then it just opens up its maw and then that's how it catches food and then it just travels around and stuff. But then again, if they're going to digest for 1,000 years, that would indicate a slow digestion, which would then indicate not moving.
It doesn't have to move,
so,
right?
Yeah. So okay, fine. So this crate dragon then eats a Sarlacc, which is just insane to think about. But then when it came out, like I was like, dang, that thing was big. When it came out of the ground, and I'm like sitting there like, oh my God, like that's wow. First off, I was like very impressed with the CG that they had done. Lucasfilm absolutely did a great job on this. But you're like, oh my God, like this is some good stuff here. And then like, they eat the guy, which I thought was funny. And then of course, like, okay, now we got to get the townspeople and the Sand Raiders, and they got to come together and work together. And I'm like, okay, let's just go through the motions. Let's just go through the idea here. But whatever the last 10 minutes of that episode, I mean, if they were to put that in IMAX, I would pay money to go see it. If they were to put that in IMAX, because it was
amazing. Really good. It was
amazing.
Really good. And like that whole, like, that dragon was just, it was incredible. And like, in fact, when it came out, it was so huge, but it was so detailed as well. It didn't look like a huge CGI creature. It had texture to it. It looked really good. And the fact that I liked how at one point he's like, come on, we got to, like we got to take it on. And he puts his helmet on, and then they both use the jetpacks. And they take off and they're all shooting at it. I was like, oh, this is badass. But then the ultimate, at the end where, he has the bantha with all the explosives on it, and he's like, take care of the kid, and you're wondering, well, how is he going to get out of this? And the thought crossed my mind, like, dude, don't tell me he's going to die. Because there's been all these weird rumors that he's not going to continue on the show.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, okay, that's not really going to happen, right? Um, but no, and then he comes flying out of the creature's mouth as he was like, he used I forgot what he used to get out of there.
He used the cattle prod thing, but there's a lot more just to get into that. Like before that scene happens, what was awesome about that was they were, like, so they had set up these traps, which I thought was pretty cool. Like the sand raiders had like the spears, like they had hunted this thing before. They'd hunted something similar before, because it clearly wasn't the settlers. That wasn't their material, and they had that, and then they had like the explosives, and they had to get its attention and stuff. And I felt like I'm watching Tremors, or I'm watching like a Monster Hunter, like the Monster Hunter movie or playing the game. And I thought, because even though this is using a video game engine to process all this, because that's what the volume uses, I'm like, it felt very kind of Monster Hunter to me. And but when you start seeing like the size of the creature, of the crate dragon, and you start seeing it, and then like how it retaliates by shooting out acid.
Oh, I know. It was like that was like Starship Trooper style. I mean, they're like, they're all melting. I was like, oh my god, that was incredible.
I thought that was great. I loved.
And then they thought they blew it up. It pops out on top of the mountain, and it's just spewing out more acid.
Yeah,
that was just like and they were just like, oh shit.
And that's where it felt like a video game to me. It felt like a video game just in that regard of like, okay, where to go? Did it go back into the cave? They're gonna have to go lure it out again. And then it's like up a mountain. And then it's just kind of like this, like it's like picking them off, But what I loved about the effects of that was like, because it couldn't be too brutal, because clearly it's like TV 14 or whatever, but Disney Plus is not going to go full on violence. However, the acid, you could see that there was weight on the acid.
Yeah.
Right. So it was thick, and it just consumed. It just consumed it.
Just like as soon as it hit you, it was like,
yeah, you just see them go, and then they're done. So I was like, holy shit, that was pretty cool. I thought that was fantastic. And then like, just like, that was a nice like secondary attack that it had. And then, so from there it's like, all right, let's go and take this thing on. And they both just fly up. Like when they both just got on the jetpacks and took off after this thing, I was like, oh my God, like you guys, like that is amazing. Like how did you, like, and that sounds so weird to say out loud. It's like, I'm 38 years old and I'm like, oh, you fucking got the fucking jetpacks.
Yeah, dude, I'm also 38. So, I mean, to see two of them using the jetpacks at the same time. Look, the last time that we saw a Mandalorian using, obviously the first time that we ever saw it like really being used was in, obviously Return of the Jedi, but in episode 2, Attack of the Clones, we saw Jango Fett, fire his missile using some of his weapons that he had on him, on his armor, and we hadn't and we hadn't seen that done before, and that was so cool. And
we didn't talk about it though. Like when they showed Cobb Vanth taking back over the city, and all those guys, all the mining collective, are trying to get away. Yeah, and then he just like lowers the visor, and then just like shoots the rocket and takes it out. I was like, that's awesome. Like that's awesome. Like,
and also too, like the visor or the whatever that is.
Yeah,
it moved around a lot more too, because when he landed after Mando activated his jetpack, after he landed, he looks up and you can see it go. Woo!
Yeah,
I mean, I was just like, oh, it's bad.
Well, because it's like there's so much detail that went into it. There was so much you could tell what they were doing. But what I loved also was like all those years. That people have been shitting on, nearly 40 years now, that people have been, no, it is 40 years this year, that people have been going, what the fuck is a missile backpack? What the fuck do you do with a missile backpack? Right. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you want to see what I do with a fucking missile backpack? All right.
Well, we saw it in episode 2. I mean, Jango used it against Obi-Wan, but although he didn't hit him, he got close to him. Yeah. But because he was crawling on that tower, and he's like, which is kind of weird because you have to lower your head, so it's kind of like, okay, so I have to like look away to shoot it.
Well, that's why he's got the targeting computer.
Yeah, he's like,
the targeting, because and that makes me wonder, is that the same technology that Luke had in the X-wing in A New Hope when he's doing the trench run? Because they had the very similar technology, so that was kind of cool.
Oh yeah,
that was a little thing. That was a little like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Like how it could work out. And then, but it also confirmed that Mando's armor was in fact Beskar. That was, or not, Boba Fett's armor was Beskar. Cause like, you know, he's not a real Mandalorian. We don't know what his history is. We don't know what Jango's history is necessarily with the Mandalorians yet. As I'm sure now we are going to learn about that as it goes on. I think we're going to get a lot more backstory, which is needed, I think, at this point. And but my God, though, man, like when they were just jetpacking around, I thought that was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
And then just when Mando's like holding on to the bantha and has got all the explosives, I'm like, dude, the bantha's gonna die.
Oh, yeah, that poor bantha was so screwed.
He's gonna be such a horrible situation.
Bantha's gonna be toast. He's trying to get away. He's like, no.
He's like, I got you. You get it. No, you're not going anywhere. And then that was great. Just when it goes, just takes him out, and I'm like, okay, clearly he's gonna survive in there. Like, but you know, you have to suspend some disbelief. I mean, it's Star Wars.
It's Star Wars.
It's Star Wars, but it's like he went into the belly of the beast, and then cattle prodded his way to get the thing to fly out, and then go and get him out of there. Then he just blew it up, which that was like, what was great about that explosion is it just wasn't a simple like gut explosion, which is what we would see in most things.
Yes, like in Tremors, yeah, where it's like,
like there's just orange goo everywhere. You know, it just looks like terrible. But this was no blood. There was very little blood, if you noticed that. But what was great was the shockwave.
Yeah, it's
the shockwave just started taking everything out and just started, doing all that shit. And that was awesome to see. I just love the fact. Oh no. Also, I love the fact that when it was in the mountain and then it went back inside and then it went underground and they couldn't even hear it or feel it, which shows you how fast this thing can move.
Yeah.
And how much dirt it can move around, and then comes up behind them in the dune.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool that it was able to, because it shows you that this is a cunning predator. It's not just a lumbering beast that moves as, it's not like a sand whale. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be like, okay, it's just going to kind of go one direction and then just, eat when it wants to eat. Well, this thing is like fucking pissed.
Oh yeah. But that's the whole thing about this, The Mandalorian, is that the way it's written, it's very clever. The way the stories are told, it's a very clever way of doing everything, and I love how they do that. I mean, obviously, they could have made a dumb creature just stood there and got shot, like but no, this thing knew what to do in the sense that it was smart.
Well, what I love about that too is it wasn't just like as far as creatures go, like the snake in Rise of Skywalker, that Rey just heals. Right? Like that thing was angered and backed into a corner, and then like it didn't do anything. She just went up and it's done. But in this case, it's like, oh, this thing is pissed off. It's systematically firing off acid shots at everybody to thin the herd.
Oh shit!
Yeah, they were dead.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah. And then it still takes some like time to go and like do it. But I will say though, I love that Oliphant had another missile on the backpack, and he used the targeting computer to target the thing's eye.
Yeah,
in order to really piss it off.
The whole time they were fighting it, I was like, hit it in the eye, but
because they kept showcasing the eye, they kept showcasing it as a weak point. So like, okay, obviously
they were
the
shooting at it, and so you see the eye like looking around. I was like, you got to hit that, and then he hits it with the missiles.
And the thing's all pissed off. But I will say this though, like what if you notice, I don't know if you noticed it, but I noticed it right away. So we had like the aspect ratio of the episode was letterbox, right? 16:9.
Yeah.
And then when it gets to that scene, as right when the thing comes out of the ground and it goes to that shot of Mando and Cobb Vanth, you now notice that the whole thing is full frame. Right? Like,
I didn't even realize that.
You don't, but if you go back and you watch it again, when the intensity kicks in, because I'm sure you, like me, felt like the intensity rise.
Oh, like,
that was when it went full frame. Like I said, like it was shot in IMAX.
I remember when it left full frame at the end of the episode. It came back down, and I thought, that's when I realized I was like, wait, was it like this the whole time, or did it change?
No, it changed.
At the time, I was like, I'll have to go back and look at it. But yeah, I remember when it closed, I was like, oh shit, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, like because that's what happens when you go and you see a movie that's not 100% shot in IMAX. When they want to have the IMAX scenes, it opens up the frame to the full frame to give you that 70mm look. Mm-hmm. And they fucking replicated that on TV. They replicated it in a goddamn streaming show. Like I'm watching it. I have a 32-inch Samsung curved monitor, and I'm watching this thing, and they fucking replicated it dude. Like that goes to show you like the filmmaking prowess that went into this shit. Like not all the effects landed. There were some that didn't work out as well. You know, when they got to like the town, it looked a little cheap, to be fair.
Yeah, or Oliphant walking in the desert, like ready to die. Like,
oh yeah,
it was all green screened. You know,
did you notice?
Like, whatever.
Did you notice the Easter egg in that scene?
What?
What was he holding? It was an ice cream maker. So if you go back to Empire Strikes Back, okay, and there's one shot, I forget the name of the character, but there's one shot where you just see a dude running on Bespin and he's holding an ice cream maker. Right.
Really?
And so so he's got a whole backstory. He even has an action figure.
Oh my
and
God.
his backstory is he works with the rebellion, and he is trying to smuggle out information. Like he doesn't want it to fall into the hands of the Empire. So in this particular case, so it's basically a storage unit. It just was like, it was funnier than shit because he's like, oh, I only grabbed this one thing, and it's just like it's a fucking ice cream maker, dude, from 1980s. That's what it was. So like I just and I wouldn't have known that if I didn't see that that little tidbit that popped up a couple of weeks ago randomly, like on Twitter, and I just watched the video and I was like, oh, so then I'm like, okay, cool. I fucking get that now. Real quick here, we got a $5 super chat from Thanura. Thank you so much. Says, I'm a little salty that the Crate Dragon is a whole different beast to KOTOR's depiction, but great episode. I understand that not everything's going to add up. Like they're going to do their own thing. KOTOR is technically not considered canon, even though everybody wants the Revan story to be canon. And even from the Aftermath book with Cobb Vanth's story, they changed up a few stuff. So it's always going to happen in this scenario, but, I really appreciate the $5. Thank you so much. Still great episode. Yeah. 9 out of 10. I would, probably go 9.5 if my complaints are so minimal. They're so minimal that it's not even going to like stop me from rewatching this thing like 20,000 fucking times. But what was the other thing? So yeah, like, so Baby Yoda was not as much in the episode, but was still cute as a goddamn button.
Yeah. Well, where was he during the last battle? I guess he was back at the village.
No, he was there. Like he was there.
Huh?
Yeah, he was there. He was chilling. Like he was just out, but because they were in the back. They kind of sent the sand people and the villagers to like the front line, and they're in the back, like what Mando's watching through his scope.
His little scope,
yeah, and he's just like they're kind of just hanging back, and that's why he's like, oh, like look after the child, and like hits the jetpack and makes him fire off, which is great because that's what happened in fucking Return of the Jedi. Remember, like they hit the jetpack and he right?
Yeah.
So
that's true.
So they did that again. They did that again. Let's see here. Hold on. Raymond here says, anyone notice that Cobb Vanth's speeder was Anakin Skywalker's pod racer motor?
Yes,
I thought that looked familiar. I thought that looked familiar.
That was totally his pod racer.
Okay.
One of the engines. And not to mention, when he was riding it, it was off to his left, off to the side, and on the pod racer, it's on either side. So yeah, it would make sense that it would connect on that side because that's only half of one of the two engines. Yeah. So yeah, no, I noticed that right off the bat when we were watching it. I was watching it with Brian, Master of None, and I was like, dude. Well, Brian was like, that's a pod racer engine. I'm like, dude, that's Anakin's. I mean. I'm pretty sure it was.
I'm pretty sure it was. I mean, like, let's be realistic here. Let's be realistic here. It was Anakin's.
Yeah.
I mean, given everything else we've seen that's been in connection with this stuff, it's clearly going to be Anakin's. It's clearly the Force. But did you notice though that Amy Sedaris's character actually said like by the Force or for the love of the Force or something like that?
Yeah.
That she had made that comment about seeing Baby Yoda again, and she didn't know that Baby Yoda is Force sensitive. But she still said that comment. So keep in mind, at this point in time, the Jedi are still considered a myth. They're still considered like extinct, even though Luke was the last Jedi, so to speak, at the time. They're still largely not known anymore.
Yeah, it wasn't like everyone knew that one Jedi named Luke was a part of the rebellion. No, I mean, all I knew was that the rebellion had won and the Empire had been defeated.
Yeah. I mean, and that was the thing I really enjoyed about The Force Awakens was when Rey was like, when Han's like, the Force Jedi, it's all true, all of it,
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, like that, wow, yeah, because like The idea was to like, censor the myth, right? Like it's to make sure that people aren't going to know what it is anymore. Half a generation has passed. So I really enjoyed that. So it shows you that like still there are elements of the Force that are still being talked about, and maybe not 100% like known what it is. It's just maybe a turn of phrase in that world. We don't know, but it opens up the conversation, I think, a bit more for how they're trying to pepper in the dialogue, how they're trying to pepper in certain elements from Star Wars into where we are right now. Because as I've said multiple times, the Mandalorian is kind of like now that is ground zero for where to build off of. And clearly Dave Filoni's like right there with Favreau. They're collaborating constantly for where to take it next after Clone Wars, after Rebels. I mean, dude, my God,
it was so good.
I'm sitting here and I'm just like, how in the hell were they going to make season 1 better? Because that season 1 finale I loved, and I'm like, how Favreau? I'm like, okay, what's he going to do? What's he going to bring to the table? What he brought to the table absolutely dwarfs anything Game of Thrones did with the dragon. Like that crate dragon scene was just like, it was intense. It was absolutely intense. It was beautiful to watch. It was amazing what they did with it. And it just felt like the stakes kept rising, and it felt like the danger was mounting, and it felt like they could actually lose, and that to me was like, that's not something you get very often anymore in like storytelling, where it feels like the characters could lose. And so that was like so fucking cool just to see like them go, okay, we got to take this thing on ourselves. And because remember at the beginning of the episode, they're like, well, I can't kill it. We can't kill it alone. Like we can't do this thing together.
Right.
Like, we're going to need help. And then at the end of it, it ultimately was, they were able to do it on their own.
That's true.
Let's see. The chaotic trigger here says Dave and John know exactly what they are doing. 100%.
Exactly.
100%. Let's see here. Hold on. Daniel Ramirez says Sam Witwer at 11 minutes. Look for the long hair. Well, I'm going to rewatch the episode in the morning, so I will 100% look for that one. So it's, there's that Brady Vlogs and Gaming says, I thought those rumors were fake. I didn't know what was real, what was not real, to be honest with you, because it was like, there was nothing official that came out of Disney, out of Jon Favreau. They kept everything under wraps.
They really did.
They kept everything under wraps. And it's that whole notion of like, okay, they're going to give us some cool shit. And they really, really, really did. Like for example, like this quick side story. My girlfriend went out today and she bought another Baby Yoda. She bought me a Baby Yoda a couple of weeks ago from Costco, and she bought another one for my daughter because my daughter wants one. She sees I have it and she wants it. She's like, oh, Baby Yoda. So she sees Baby Yoda now. And so we got her the one, and it came with the knob, the frog, and the teacup.
Yeah.
And the mythosaur.
That's what I have, yeah.
Yeah. Mine doesn't have that. Mine didn't come with those unless someone stole it.
I have the knob right here.
Yeah, the knob, right? So she's playing with them, and my girlfriend's like, I don't know what that is. What are these? And so I brought up all the Baby Yoda moments in Mandalorian video on YouTube today. And my 2.5-year-old is like, Baby Yoda, and ran right to the TV and like just watched everything. So like my 2-year-old is 100% like just in love. She's sleeping with Baby Yoda, her Baby Yoda right now.
That's crazy.
She was like, Baby Yoda. She wants to go to like lay down in the crib. Baby Yoda,
But if you ask Disney, they'll say, it's
the child. It's the child.
The child. Not Baby Yoda. It's not a Baby Yoda. It's a child.
Yeah. I just, oh my God, man. Like that, just everything, like the child didn't have that big of a part in the episode, but it was still cute. And you were waiting, and I was kind of waiting to see what the child was going to do. Like, I still love the shot when he activates the whistling birds, whatever those things were called.
Piccolo Pete's.
Yeah. Piccolo Pete's basically. And then Baby Yoda's like,
he's like,
I'm out.
Yeah. He's
but
like,
did you notice though, in that scene, then when he goes to fight everybody, he kicks off the crib. He kicks it, or the bassinet.
Yeah, he
off
did.
to the side in order to get out of the way. And then he just goes like, but did you also notice, and this is the thing I noticed with season 1, he uses the Beskar armor in fights very much to his advantage.
Yes.
So like
he let himself get punched because he knew the guy, it would hurt his hand.
He just like went down, and he just like did that boxer move of like lower your head down. So if they're going to punch you flat on in the forehead, it might break their hand, So he's doing that, and he's like using his whole body to fight, which I just thought like that was so cool. And then he pulls out the vibro blade and then kills the guys. That was those little. It's those little moments that absolutely fundamentally make this show as good as it is. It's just those little things that I love.
Kiji Johnson writes the knob, the frog, and the teacup. It
Dude,
sounds like
seriously, that's the thing.
It really does.
That's the thing. Yeah, the knob, the frog, and the teacup is great.
I think I put it inside the little droid over here.
What is it? Geek Cosmics here says, "What do you guys think of the score?" Oh, dude, it was good.
It was amazing.
It was so
amazing.
Good. I got a new. I was telling him I got a new pair of headphones. I got a Bose headphones, and like it's just you hear the da na 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 da 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 da. You know, it's like whoa, right? I just thought that was. It's like everything about it.
You know, it's so good. It's so good.
And you just you
but it does remind me of the Rocky theme.
A little bit.
It kind of has that Rocky vibe to it, but still it's so badass. And so far, it's like we were saying, it's been done better than anything they've done in the sequel trilogy. And you're right. This is ground zero now. Now you build from this.
Yeah.
Because if you try and build a new trilogy in the theaters, you know, basically you can't. It's over. That whole storyline with Luke and Leia and the Skywalker trilogy and all that, it's over.
No, 100%. Like
you've already butchered it. It's done.
Well, see, here's the thing too. Is Steven Escalante here says I got chills at the end. 100%, dude. 100%. And by the way, I love the Ahsoka avatar. It's So like, real quick though, with the thing with the Boba Fett thing at the end. If you guys notice in the end credits, it says Tamara Morrison. So it wasn't like they hid it. Now it's out there. Motherfucker's alive. But we've waited. They've never given us confirmation that he's ever alive. And even Bob Iger tweeted out tonight. He retweeted a Mandalorian tweet, and he just goes, "If you like season 1, you're gonna love what we have in store for you tonight." And I'm like, "God damn it, Bob! Don't get my hopes up." I said,
I hope you know what you're talking about this time.
Don't get my fucking hopes up.
Exactly.
And then mind blown, dude. Like I did my review and I literally am like, I'm still trying to wrap my brain around what I saw. And that's a legit emotion for me, you know? And the thing is, like, we've spent all these years now fighting over Star Wars, bickering over Star Wars. And it's like, this makes me as a near 40-year-old fan, just like absolutely fall in love with it all over again.
Oh yeah.
You know? And so then of course, then the question becomes, what the fuck is going to happen in the future, right? What the fuck is going to go down in the future?
But it's like you said, though, if you treat this like it's ground zero, now this gives you the opportunity to expand upon these characters. So let's say we already know that we're going to see Ahsoka later on. We haven't even seen her yet. So does her character...
Believe it or not, there's actually there was a fuck up from an official Disney account that confirmed it today, by the way.
That they fucked up.
They fucked up. So because I saved it to Instapaper. Let's see here. Goddamn Instagram. They deleted it. All those motherfuckers deleted it.
What was it?
It was one of the Disney Plus accounts that's on Instagram, and they did a couple things where they were like answering questions about the show. And they're like, "Oh, when are we going to see Ahsoka?" Or like, how much does Ahsoka look like the actress playing her in the show? It's like, well, it's Rosario Dawson. So, you know, just go look at Rosario Dawson basically. And it's like, this was a verified Instagram account, which if you know anything about fucking verification on Instagram, it is almost impossible.
Yeah.
So, you know, let me see if I can bring it up here. Cause it's just like, what the hell? But so I think that's gone. I think they deleted it because they realized they screwed it up. Let's see.
Yeah, if I realize it, dude, take that down.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's gone. Yeah, it's gone. They nuked it.
Is that? I mean, look, all of us pretty much already knew that she was going to be that she's Ahsoka anyway. And then even Boba Fett. I mean, we knew that Tamara was going to be in this series. I mean, but obviously, yes, they did not confirm. They never said yes. Confirmation. This guy is going to be in the movie. She will be. I mean, in the series, she will be in the series. But I mean, overall, though, I mean, we still haven't even seen Ahsoka yet. And
Well, I mean, we're going to see Ahsoka. 100%. We're going to see Ahsoka at this
no, no,
point.
we are, but I'm saying it was this first episode was so good, and we still have yet to see Ahsoka. There's a possibility that we could see Ezra Bridger as well. Now,
Yeah.
my question is, do you think that if this season is another success, which it looks like it's going to be, does this give you grounds to say, okay, if these characters are developed enough in this next season and they don't die, do you attempt to branch off of this and give one of them their own series?
Yes. You give everyone their own series, by the way. You give
every one of them.
Every one of them their own show. Real quick, though, I did find a screenshot. This is actually from the account today. It says, what does Ahsoka Tano's live action avatar look like? Rosario Dawson is set to play the famous Clone Wars Jedi. And this was from a verified account. This has since been deleted. So, like, yeah, that is from Disney Hotstar Premium, which is one of their other brands from overseas. So they and then they deleted it. By the way, we've got over 100 people watching right now. There's 109 people watching right now. Yes.
That's the one thing I don't like about when you're a guest on someone's show. You can't see the viewer count unless you go to YouTube and pull it up. I'm kind of like, why can't we see that?
Yeah, I know it's crazy. It's been slowly jumping up, and when everyone's hyped up on fucking Mando, dude.
Yeah, dude. I was like slamming my coffee the whole time, and because I'm like, hey, look, I'm like, if I'm gonna do a show, I start at 11 o'clock Pacific time, and I'm like, look, if I'm gonna do a show, I have to be awake, because if I don't drink my coffee, then I usually go into the show like, hey, what's going on? It's not the same vibe, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, normally I'd be laying in bed right now, just thinking about. I'd be on my phone, really, just like tweeting and looking at everything else. But going back to the episode, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was well done.
Well, I'm trying to think of anything else what didn't we cover yet? So, I mean, the thing is, this was longer almost than the pilot episode and the second episode combined.
Well, okay, but here's the thing. I did love. There's one thing that we didn't cover yet. I did love that that it showed. What's his name? Timothy Oliphant's character. It showed his
backstory,
his flashback. Yeah. We saw the Death Star, exploding, and so they knew that the rebellion had won, but then there was that whole dark side to the story where it's like, and then immediately, the mining colony, whatever, stepped in and started blowing everybody away with their, shooting everybody. So it kind of shows that, like, yeah, that was a great thing that happened, but then it also caused so many other things to take place as well. Different factions stepping in to try and take control over different areas because they knew that the Empire wasn't there anymore.
Well, yeah, there was the power vacuum. We never really got to see that. Now, in the last season, leading up to it, they had said like that we were going to see kind of the origins of the First Order in season 1 of Mando. Now, we never really got much of that, and I think it had to do with Dr. Pershing, because he was a Kaminoan, he was a Kamino cloner, and the child. So like whatever they were planning on doing with cloning at the time, I think that was something Palpatine was into, like cloning a Force sensitive body. Right. Yes. I think that's what he was trying to do was that's my take on it, but they never really explained it. They kind of dropped the ball. And I don't think it really matters at this point, because here's my take. What they're going to do is they're going to build off of this, because we have 25 years from Mando to the Force Awakens. So there's 25 years. They're going to lay the groundwork to build up, probably to canonically build up the sequel trilogy in a way that's going to be exceptionally fleshed out.
Yes.
I think that, because IGN put out a video yesterday where they talked about how much money it would cost you if you, without buying a ticket to the movie, if you wanted to get the full, complete story of The Rise of Skywalker and all the ancillary material and comics and book form and everything else, roughly $157, not including a ticket.
Wow.
Just to get all of the ancillary side story. Now, this episode took what you could argue would be that ancillary side story for like other things like Aftermath.
Yeah.
And it brought it into the live action, and it brought it in a way where they did change a couple things, which some people are going to get butthurt about, but fuck Chuck Wendig. The guy's a piece of shit. But no, Disney fired him. They fired him because he's a piece of shit. Like they fired his ass. And so they they are building off of this lore and creating new lore in the same time, but they're building off of it in a way that's going to, I think, give fans of the comics and the books a lot more representation in this medium. And they need it. They need that to work because of China, to be honest with you. They're trying to build a roadmap to China. They're building a foundation to get China in on everything, because China didn't have the prequel or the OT growing up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing like a grassroots publishing initiative in China where they released a whole bunch of the new canon for free, because there's over 419 million monthly ebook readers in China.
Wow.
And they hired a Chinese blogger who is known only by the name of His Majesty the King. He's very popular. They hired him to write his own Chinese Star Wars story using Chinese characteristics and based upon that stuff. Wow. In order to get a grassroots movement in China, in order to be able to then build a fan base that they can then sell more shit to. So that's why the High Republic is 200 years before the Phantom Menace. That's my take on it, at least, because they're going so far back that they're able to push it into China to get that money there. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, because what I view is going to be happening is in these shows, they're going to start just expanding upon all of that stuff, giving us a whole grip of lore. And I think if they just feed into the lore in a way that's like going to reference the EU, because they already kind of do. It's going to reference the old stuff in a way that's fun and entertaining, and it's going to bring new people in. We're going to see this resurgence in Star Wars love, because the thing is, like I said, man, like I'm jazzed up. I barely got any sleep last night, and like it's 2:30 in the morning here. I should be in bed.
I should blame you too, because you know what? Now you got me doing food deliveries, and it's so addicting, especially when it's busy.
Yeah,
that's all. I mean, like when I'm not at my regular job, I'm like, what time is it? Oh crap! I'm gonna go out and make some money. And right away, the app, it shows you like, this is how much money you want it. This is how much money you can make. You want it? Like, yeah. But no, I think, like you said earlier, this is ground zero. I think that they're gonna basically expand on this from this is where everything is gonna start from now.
And like it has to. There's
25 years you have to build up to these other the sequel trilogy, so you have plenty of room there to expand on a lot of stories. And imagine if we do get an Ezra Bridger story with Ahsoka, like that's its own separate series after this one. Not after, but after we see season 2, they branch off into that, and then then it could lead into what. I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but what if we actually got a solo Boba Fett series that branched off from this? Like, I have paint all over my hands. I was painting earlier.
I don't know if Boba Fett is going to be the hardest thing for them to sell.
It really is.
And I only say that because Boba Fett is such an iconic character, but he hasn't done a lot. Like, that's part of his charm, is he had 5 lines of dialogue in the original trilogy, and so we didn't get much out of him.
To me, dead.
Yeah, and I still love the Deadpool versus Boba Fett epic rap battles of history video. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. It's so goddamn funny. It's a really, really good video. But like they accurately point out the joke of like, look, Boba Fett just looks fucking cool. He just looks cool. So you want to go and like do more with him. And like, obviously now we have a Mandalorian show that's one of the most popular shows on the planet that doesn't feature Boba Fett. Now it does, but it didn't a year ago. And and it's funny too, is like the fever of it is selling a lot of different merchandise. Like, Disney put out a color palette for makeup, Mandalorian themed color palette. You can get like, you can do eyeshadow like you're the child.
No way.
My girlfriend bought 2 of them. One for her, one for my sister. I'm not kidding you. Like, I'm not kidding you. She was watching a tutorial of how to have a review of it today. Like, I sat down and I watched a makeup review of Mandalorian color palette, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? as I'm holding baby Yoda and looking at my kid, like, no, this one's mine. Okay, you have yours.
Back up.
Like you're 2.5. Go away. This is daddy's time. I'm just saying it's like, so they're like, they're finally like, it's just, dude, it's like after The Last Jedi, it felt kind of to be a Star Wars fan. Like, not that I hated it. It's like I was looking forward to Solo. I was looking forward to like Star Wars Resistance, but I felt like there was so much hatred and so much negativity and so much garbage coming out of the YouTube space, which I added to be honest with you, in the early days of The Last Jedi having been released. But I still wanted to love Star Wars, and it's like tonight seeing this thing, the fact that it's 2:30 in the morning, we have 100 people here. People are excited, dude. The internet's afire right now.
Oh yeah.
You know, with all this stuff. And it's like, everyone is happy that it's back. And like, that goes to show you that there's love there, that love has never gone away, that love is still there. It might be diminished from time to time, but you know what? You hear the Mandalorian theme song, you get hyped up. You hear the Star Wars theme song or the Imperial March, you get hyped up. And Disney has made mistakes. This was not a mistake. Not one damn bit.
Not a mistake. But this also feels like they did not interfere with Filoni and Jon Favreau. Like, they let them do their thing. And this is what you got. You have a brilliant story. It's well told. It has all kinds of connections to different elements of Star Wars lore. It's perfect. And this is what they should look at this and realize, okay, what we're doing with this needs to happen more often, because this is what didn't happen with the sequel trilogy. They were so freaked out that if we get this longer story, you know, of the Mandalorian universe, and you have other stories branch off of that, now you're gonna have a more fleshed out sequel trilogy, because now you know all the different ins and outs of what took place. Now we might even figure out later on the line, that is, how they got Luke's lightsaber. You know, like, now you can introduce characters that you see in later movies, or even in the previous movies. I mean, imagine if they had an episode where, I mean, dare I say it, can you imagine if there was an episode where they run into like Luke Skywalker, or they run into Han Solo?
I don't know, Han. Maybe Alden Ehrenreich. I've heard. So here's what I've heard. Okay, and this is, again, I'm adding in parts of my own speculation as well as my own wish list.
Grain of salt, everybody. Grain of salt.
So absolute grain of salt. Anyway, real quick, hold on. Man Unido says KOTOR Easter egg. I know I saw that mentioned earlier. Can you refresh my memory? Which was a KOTOR Easter egg? It's been
they've been 18.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what that is, because I was like, I haven't played KOTOR since 2003.
I haven't played it so long.
You know, it's just like I'm all down for the Revan storyline, but it's like I'm trying to remember whatever Easter egg there is. It might be the Crate Dragon, something, maybe the Pearl, because I know that was like a thing in the book even. But anyway,
Pearl is what they're talking about.
So here's what the rumor mill is saying about the future of this. All right, so with bringing in, now we know Boba Fett, like, that's fucking confirmed. Ahsoka, maybe Commander Rex. You know, those characters, Ezra, maybe, because Ezra at the end of Rebels was out with Thrawn, and Thrawn Ascendancy, or whatever the new book is, because Timothy Zahn is writing a new Thrawn trilogy, and they're getting ready to release the second book in that trilogy. Clearly, there's a large fan base for Thrawn, hence why, you know, Filoni brought Thrawn into Rebels season 3. So they put him in the Rebels, like they brought him to life. And so obviously Disney realizes that there's potential there. Filoni and Favreau, I think, have got full reign over this side of Lucasfilm.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think Kennedy is like more than happy to like let them take it. You know what I mean? Like, she's like, do her thing, like, leave me alone.
She's
So okay, the Crate Dragon scene is straight out of the KOTOR and the Pearl. Okay, that's what, that's good. Okay,
there you go.
Yeah, that was great. You know, anyway, so here's what I've been hearing. So we've got potential Lando Calrissian show with Donald Glover.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've been hearing. I've been hearing about that now since about a year ago. I reported on it. Mikey Sutton gave me a scoop, and then Kessel Run Transmissions somewhat corroborated that scoop not too long ago when they were talking about that. Like, they're talking about how Disney wants to bring in Donald Glover back as Lando because everyone loved him as Lando. So that's what I've been hearing. My theory on that is we're probably not going to get a Solo 2 movie-wise, but we could get a Han Solo, like Han and Lando television series, as a way to kind of keep the budget lower and then flesh out that story.
With the same actors that were in Solo.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I mean, maybe not Alden Ehrenreich. Like, he says Star Wars is out of his life right now, but I guarantee you if they hit him up, he's like, his show Brave New World was just canceled on Peacock. So he's currently jobless. Yeah. So, you know, he could probably be open for that one. And
you throw money at anybody, They're gonna be like, I can do that.
So there's that, and then I think like also Amelia Clark is not doing anything right now, so bring in Kira, give us more stories of Crimson Dawn, because Voss was actually in the Clone Wars Siege of Mandalore talking to Darth Maul. Very quick cameo appearance from that. Dryden Voss, that was a pretty cool little thing, and so I think that's going to be something. I've heard speculation about there being an Ahsoka show. And Sabine, that's been talked about quite a bit.
Yeah, because Sabine and Ahsoka went to go look for Ezra at the end of
Rebels, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot that's going into it. And then my own personal speculation, and this comes from a line of dialogue that Lando said in Rise of Skywalker when they were looking for the knife, right? When they were looking for Ochi. And Lando was like, Luke and I came looking for him a long time ago, right? Like he made a comment about how him and Luke went off in search of Ochi.
Yes.
And I thought that was a very odd line. I'm not going to lie. Like you just don't really assume that Lando is going to team up with Luke Skywalker. It doesn't fit the mold. Lando is clearly going to do his own thing. It's going to be in his best interest. It always is. But it's like, okay, fine. He says that line. And again, Billy D can literally read me the phone book and I would be very happy. And so I love Billy D. And so, he says that. I'm thinking like, okay, well then if they want to bring in Donald Glover as Lando, okay, cool. It wouldn't take a lot to kind of age him up a little bit, right? From where Solo was to where we are now, 5 years post Return of the Jedi. Yeah. But what about Luke Skywalker himself? Well, there's a particular actor who keeps getting brought into the conversation, and that is Sebastian Stan. He looks like young Mark Hamill, like a younger Mark Hamill. And even Mark Hamill has tweeted that out multiple times. So is the Winter Soldier from Avengers.
Yeah.
So he looks like, so it's like, okay, well, he's not doing anything after Falcon and Winter Soldier. We don't know if that's going to be continued on. But now we're looking at it from the perspective of, okay, this could potentially be something where we have got, a Luke Skywalker Disney Plus show. Luke trying to establish the new Jedi Temple, hunting down the remnants of the Empire with Han, with Luke, with maybe a young Leia. I mean, they could theoretically expand out everything. Yeah, and Nickatina you brought it up here. So this is yeah. I mean, look at them. Like, there's some light Photoshop there, but they look very, very, very similar, and they could make it work.
They could totally make that work.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, that's kind of what they could do with this. There's a lot that's going on with it. And so from my understanding, looking at everything, that Disney realizes at this point that the Disney Plus has to be where things are at because nothing's going to theaters. They are bringing in Kevin Feige to produce a movie. Taika Waititi is directing the movie, right? The 2023 film was Taika Waititi. I think Feige's going to produce that one once Taika's done with Thor: Love and Thunder. And then you've got, who else was, Tom Holland is now being rumored for Star Wars. Right. Really? That's something that I reported on yesterday. That was something I was told by Mikey Sutton. So there's a lot that's going on. They realize now that they want to take Marvel actors and put them in Star Wars because that's going to have more name recognition.
Well, yeah.
And
familiarity with the actors. So, yeah.
So I think at this point, what we're going to see is a lot of this stuff coming to Disney Plus. Also, Lucasfilm Animation did not slow down after Clone Wars. We got Bad Batch coming, and they've said that they're working on multiple shows. EA Motive put out a job posting, the guys behind Star Wars Squadrons that just came out, and they're hiring new game developers for, another Star Wars action game. Don't know what it is yet, but clearly where we are right now is we're seeing this resurgence. We're seeing this return to hopefully quality content. And we've been very lucky with it so far. Jedi Fallen Order, fucking fantastic game.
Yeah,
Star Wars Squadrons, fantastic fucking game. Mandalorian, Clone Wars, good shows. Rise of Skywalker, it exists. We can be done with it. But we're moving into a new phase, and I think it's going to be really cool. And this, to me, tonight, the level of care and craziness that they pulled it off. That's the thing. Like, they pulled off the craziness. Mm-hmm. Like how do you have a dragon that we only see from like one perspective. You know, we really only, it's under the ground. It's just shifting the sand. Oh, that's kind of creepy, right? It's a sand shark. No, 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 you know, like, we're going to need a bigger, bigger pod racer, right? Like you have that. And then it comes out and it is more terrifying than anything Game of Thrones ever dragged.
Huge. It was like, holy, and then it's not, it doesn't breathe fire, but it spews out what, acid?
Yeah. Body melting acid.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, again, like I said before, it raised the stakes. It continued to escalate the stakes. You felt like people were going to potentially get hurt or die or lose. And that was the premise of good storytelling. That is why this episode is going to win a lot of awards, by the way. This is going to be a very big Emmy winner when it happens again. So, and then of course, you know, Brian K here says Boba knocked me off my chair. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, we saw him at the end and you can tell his face, he was all scarred. You know, he was bald. You know, you could tell that he's been through some shit.
And he was lighter. He was lighter skinned. If you saw, but maybe that was just like the reflection of the light of the sun.
Like some of his skin looked like it had kind of a pinkish tone, while some of the tannish tone. So maybe skin grafting or scars. But I mean, look, the guy was in a fucking Sarlacc pit. I mean, it's not like he was in there just hanging out.
Yeah,
you know, he was getting digested.
How long was he in there for? We don't know. Let's see. Hold on. Geeks Cosmic here says, I bet you next week or Investor Day, Disney's going to announce season 3. Oh no, they've already announced season 3.
They already announced it.
They've already announced season 3. Yeah, they're gonna start production on it before the end of the year.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah.
So
especially after tonight, they're like, dude, get that thing going, you know? I mean, that's their biggest tentpole. Because look, when it comes to the whole streaming war, right? We know that HBO Max has a lot of things planned out. Disney Plus knows that. Disney said, okay, look, we need to be able to stay competitive in this market because with theaters not being an option for most people, streaming has to be where you want to go to watch all your content. Now, what is the one series that we have that could stand up to, let's say, oh, I don't know, a Zack Snyder Justice League or a Ben Affleck's Batman series? Would be the Mandalorian. That basically, in my opinion, the Mandalorian is their Batman at this point, and they have to ride that as hard as they can because he's their cash cow, the Mandalorian.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I mean, it's like that's the thing is like last year they kept Baby Yoda under wraps, so they didn't have merchandise ready to go. Now they've got merchandise ready to go. You know, they've got a lot of.
I couldn't belithey didn't have merchandise for Baby Yoda
because it would have gone out.
Yeah, everyone would have gone out.
They
in this day and age, everything gets like when they make a toy, everyone sees it ahead of time.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like they needed to and the thing is that they lost a lot of money by not having the toys ready to go by Christmas last year. That's true, but that long-term payoff this year, I guarantee you is going to make them a lot of cash. People who aren't Star Wars fans are like obsessed with Baby Yoda. It's like the cutest damn thing ever, you know? Like I need to go get my boat. I need to go get my Din Djarin bobblehead, you know, to go along with my my Boba Fett bobblehead. You know, like I got to go get more stuff, man. Like it's just that compulsion to buy this shit. And I'm generally not a person that buys a lot of this stuff. And I was looking at some of the Black Series figures for like the Supreme Commando from Mandalore, the Darth Maul Mandalorian's armor. And I was like, I want to buy that. I want to buy that.
I just want to buy it. I don't care.
I don't care. I want to get it. I just want to put it on a shelf and look at it. Go, yeah, you're mine.
Well, so if you look at, you know, okay, so when you have Disney Plus, right? And not to mention, Netflix is about to raise their price to $12.99.
No, 14.
Is it 14? 14. I thought it was 12.
Nope, 14 for their just their minimal.
So $14.99. Okay, that sounds awfully familiar. That sounds very close to what HBO Max is charging. So now you're seeing, okay, this is the new kind of. That's your premium. That's your base price now. It's $14.99 across the board. But now you got to look at, okay, what it's going to start to become, what franchises does each service own? So now we know HBO Max is going to roll hard with their DC content, and not to mention that they've already have a ton of original content that's been really good. Like Raised by Wolves is amazing. Lovecraft Country was really good, and they keep rolling out more and more original stuff.
And Disney hasn't done that really.
They haven't done that.
Nothing that's been good. I mean,
besides Mandalorian, everything else that's come out has been actually pretty bad. However, since they have two big properties, right? They have Marvel and they have Star Wars.
Yeah.
And those are their two big franchises that they're going to start taking advantage of with streaming. Because I mean, look, do they want that box office money? Of course they do. But are they going to get it right now? They're not. And I think that this is why they're putting the focus on streaming, because they realize, hey, this is where we have to start sucking in money, is getting everyone to subscribe to Disney Plus because of the content that we offer. And I had this discussion with Enosh, and Enosh was saying that, oh, well, people are just going to subscribe, watch their show, and then unsubscribe. And I said, yeah, but you're saying you're assuming that everybody is a savvy consumer as you are. Well, guess what? I subscribe to Prime, to Netflix, to HBO Max, to Disney Plus. I have 4 subscription services, and I have no plan on canceling any of them.
Yeah.
So, and people sign up for stuff, and they don't get around to canceling memberships or subscriptions because they have kids, they have jobs, they have family, they have lives. And it's one of those things you tell yourself, oh yeah, I got to go on there and cancel that or whatever.
Well, it's like when it comes to Disney Plus, like I had the 2 kids. And I get emails every month from Comcast, like, you're getting really close to your data cap, right? You're getting really close to using more than 1,200 gigabytes of data this month. What are you doing? And it's really just like Disney Plus. Like I had to turn off 4K HDR on my TV. I had to turn it off in order to be able to not cost me an arm and a leg.
Well, luckily where I'm at, there is no data cap, which I'm really happy about. But as far as I know, at least, and our bill hasn't reflected it. But and that's another, I think, misconception that I've been hearing a lot is that people will make comments about Disney Plus saying how, oh, there's not enough original content. It's kind of boring on Disney Plus. There's not that much stuff to watch anymore. Well, guys, if you have kids, Disney Plus is rocking like 24/7 at my house. Yeah. Oh my God. You know how many times I've watched the Toy Story movies, all 4 of them?
It's incredible. They just now put on the Toy Story of Terror.
Oh yeah.
22-minute. And it's an excellent short film.
It really is.
We watched that. I think I watched it like 2 times this morning. My daughter loves it. She's all like, Buzz, Jesse, Woody. And that's what she wants. But here's the thing though, guys, it's nearly 3:00 in the morning. Yeah. I do need to wrap this up in a minute. I just wanted to drop Nickatina's his YouTube channel. If you guys want to go check him out, he does a show called The Midnight Run. Look, we'll do this every week, man. This was good. This was better than good. This is like, we're Star Wars fans and we don't have to hide anymore.
We don't have to hide anymore. And guys, next week, pretty much every Thursday, I'm going to have my show, The Midnight Run, which will lead into the watch party for The Mandalorian on Twitch. So follow me on Twitch at _Nickatina_show, which I assume they changed. I don't know why the hell I did that for. But I'll have a watch party for each episode every week. Oh, there it is.
I had to get my baby Yoda.
I have mine right here. They don't stand up very well, though.
They don't. I don't care. It's so soft. It's so soft and it's comforting. I'm just saying. It's like it's right next to my Build-A-Bear Chewbacca. So but I will say the Build-A-Bear baby Yoda, the Build-A-Bear baby Yoda is creepy as fuck. So I'm just gonna stick with this thing. So only $20. But look how it's adorable. It's adorable. Look at him.
Yeah. You got the knob.
I don't. Yeah. I'm just saying. It's like that's shit. Like that's frog. How you know. This is how you know that you have like kind of re-energized Star Wars when grown men in their 30s are sitting here at nearly 3:00 in the morning and they're like, "Did you see my baby Yoda? You see my baby Yoda? This is so cute."
I came home with it. My wife was like, "You bought it." I was like, "I did. $20."
My girlfriend bought this for me. I normally don't buy this kind of stuff, but she did. I can't complain. I like it.
No, not at all. Not at all. Matt, thank you so much for having me on here. This was a lot of fun. And if you want to do it again next week, let me know. And I am totally down to do it. And like I said, I'm going to start doing a watch party every week. So if you're ever available and you're free, let me know. I'll send you a link and you can join us. Because Brian's going to be there next week as well.
I know. I'm 100% going to be like, I was surprised it was up at midnight. I was expecting it to not be online until like about 12:45, which is what happened last year.
It was right on the dot. Like, bam.
Yeah. And I was getting ready to record another podcast because I do a true crime thing. And I'm just like, I'm prepping this episode. And then like, I just refresh it. And it's like, oh, fuck. All right. Well,
there goes that idea.
Like, well, they're good. You know, like they said, did the Marvel one that's up in the morning, but like this one's going to do its thing. So, all right. Well, hey, everyone, listen, I appreciate everyone tuning in for the last hour and 20 minutes. We had about 122 people at most watching. That's fantastic. I really appreciate that. If you guys haven't already, leave a like. That would be awesome. I would appreciate that. And then
smash that like button. Smash it.
Of course, look, at the end of the day, we have right now 87 Star Wars fans. We had 122 Star Wars fans in here. And on this platform on YouTube, that's a very tough thing to come by these days, it feels like. And so thank you guys for being here. And I just can't wait to talk more about this next week. I am so happy. And I hope you guys are too. And so, all right, guys, if you haven't, I'm going to go to bed because I got to go to bed.
Yeah, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, but thank you so much for being here. We'll talk to everyone later.